Russian attacks on Ukraine. 4 killed, 33 injured, UNESCO landmarks damaged. In a tragic escalation of violence, recent Russian assaults have resulted in the deaths of 4 civilians and left at least 33 others injured within a single day, as reported by local authorities on July 24th. This alarming situation highlights the ongoing conflict's devastating impact on innocent lives. According to the Ukrainian Air Force, Russian military forces executed a series of attacks using 4 Iskander-K cruise missiles and 103 Shahed drones, launching them from various airfields in Russia, including Shatalovo, Milarovo, Bryansk, and Primorsk-Akhtarsk, as well as from the Russian-occupied territory of Crimea. These strikes targeted multiple regions across Ukraine, including Odessa, Kharkiv, Zaporizhzhia, Donetsk, Kharkiv, Dnipropetrovsk, Mykolaiv, and Sumy. Notably, no civilian casualties were reported in the latter 3 areas, which is a small relief amidst the chaos. In a display of resilience, Ukraine's air defense system successfully intercepted 1 missile and 90 drones. However, 13 unmanned aerial vehicles and 3 missiles managed to reach their intended targets across 11 locations, with debris from these attacks scattered across 6 sites. In Kharkiv Oblast, the situation was particularly dire, with 3 fatalities and 5 injuries reported due to Russian strikes affecting 9 settlements. Among the deceased were 2 men aged 36 and 55, and a 55-year-old woman in the village of Pidliman. Additionally, a 61-year-old man was injured in Petropavlivsky, while in Kupiansk, 3 men aged 79, 70, and 75, along with a 49-year-old woman, sustained injuries. The violence extended to Kherson Oblast, where Russian forces targeted 39 settlements, including the regional center of Kherson. This resulted in 1 death and 6 injuries, 2 of whom were children, as reported by Governor Oleksandr Prokudin. In Cherkasy Oblast, the attacks injured 12 individuals, including a child, in the regional center. The strikes involved missiles filled with shrapnel, further emphasizing the indiscriminate nature of the violence. In Donetsk Oblast, 2 people were injured in Mirnorod, while additional injuries were reported in the settlements of Siversk, Staroraiske, Zarechne, and Kostyantinivka, according to Governor Vadim Filashkin. Odessa Oblast also faced significant attacks, with Russian forces targeting the regional center and injuring 3 individuals. The State Emergency Service reported the drone strikes caused damage to UNESCO-protected landmarks and heightened tense situation in Kherson Oblast, the largest food market in the city, located in its historic center. In Zaporizhzhia Oblast, a 43-year-old woman was injured during an attack in the Vaskiliv district, where Russian forces launched a staggering 387 strikes across 14 localities in just 1 day. In a separate development, Ukraine and Russia have conducted another prisoner exchange, as President Volodymyr Zelensky announced on July 23rd, bringing home a group of soldiers previously held captive by Russia. This exchange marks yet another chapter in the ongoing negotiations following the 3rd round of peace talks held in Istanbul. Russia and Ukraine. Drone strikes continue despite ceasefire talks. Russia and Ukraine continue their deadly drone attacks after a brief ceasefire attempt collapsed in Istanbul, leaving at least 5 dead and dozens injured. The latest round of talks, held in Turkey, ended abruptly after an hour, with neither side showing optimism. As the conflict enters its 4th year, both nations remain locked in a stalemate, their rivalry escalating into a brutal standoff. Here's where it gets controversial. While Russian officials claim they've swapped 1,200 prisoners of war and agreed to return 3,000 bodies of fallen Ukrainian soldiers, the real battle lies in the terms of peace. Russia insists on removing Ukraine's military ambitions and neutralizing its border threats, a demand Kyiv rejects outright. "We won't accept anything that forces us to choose between security and sovereignty," Zelensky tweeted, echoing his stance that the war is a horrible, bloody war that demands an end. But here's where it gets even more contentious. The U.S. has pushed for a ceasefire since 2022, urging Russia to abandon its root causes, including Ukraine's NATO membership and territorial claims. Yet Moscow refuses to budge, citing the need for stability in its own region. Meanwhile, Ukraine's leaders argue that the U.S. is exploiting the crisis for political gain, pressuring both sides to compromise. The stakes are higher than ever. In Odessa, the city's historic Prevost Market and Boulevard were struck by drones, causing fires that damaged UNESCO-listed landmarks. In Kharkiv, a Russian strike left 33 wounded, while a Ukrainian drone attack on Sochi killed 2 and injured 11. The conflict's brutality has drawn global condemnation, but the question remains: will diplomacy finally break the cycle of violence? As the war rages on, one question lingers: what will happen when the next round of talks fails? And who will bear the cost of this endless conflict? The answer may lie in the hands of the world's most powerful leaders. But for now, the battlefield remains unchanged.